CARES Act provided the first 3 stimulus checks that people will receive. The first check was around $1,200 per adult and $500 per child dependent. Most of these checks have long since been delivered either directly to people's bank accounts or via checks sent by the mail. Now there are actually, however, millions of checks that have either gone crashed or that have been returned to the US Treasury. In fact, millions of checks in total are still outstanding with a value of billions of dollars. Americans in every state have left stimulus checks uncashed, but more people in certain locations have either returned their checks or never received them. Pennsylvania, Vermont, and Michigan have the highest percentage of unclaimed checks per capita. By contrast, states with the lowest number of unclaimed checks per capita include Arizona, Texas, and Utah. It's still possible to request payments of the stimulus funds if you didn't receive yours. You can do so by submitting a tax return to the IRS and then requesting the unpaid amount on your tax form. If you aren't sure if you received the missing stimulus money that you're entitled to, the IRS created an online tool that you can use to find out. Folks, it's definitely important for President Biden to do this and send out the 4th stimulus checks. If you guys agree that it's important, then tell me in the comments down below. Everybody, President Biden, the Democrats, and the Republicans have to do more and send us stimulus checks before it's too late. If you guys agree, tell me in the comments. More details have been revealed for the next round of stimulus checks. President Biden is now criticizing the Democratic and Republican lawmakers for not taking enough action soon enough for the 4th stimulus package, and I definitely agree with that. It's important for President Biden to send out the 4th stimulus checks because that's why he's in office. Now, today, President Biden indirectly casted blame on Joe Manchin of West Virginia for the pause of a monthly child allowance. It put him alongside Republicans and many other people. At an event in Washington, President Biden said that child poverty had dropped 40% while the 1-year expanded program was in effect. An overwhelmingly majority of people and the Democrats favored renewing the program as part of the House-approved Build Back Better plan. Now, the federal program issued up to $300 monthly checks per child to most families. Biden said we lack 1 Democrat and 50 Republicans from keeping it from passing this time around. But it really is fundamentally changing the lives of millions of people. And I agree with that, folks. The stimulus checks have helped so many people, so it definitely needs to be continued in this year. Biden pushed other policies that could still make up the smaller Build Back Better plan. Chief among them is a measure to empower the federal government to negotiate prescription prices. The president also pitched an initiative to establish an affordable child care program and urged the extension of the bulked-up federal subsidies that will lower the costs of buying health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. The conservative Democrat had voiced a wide range of concerns about the enhanced child tax credit program, including whether it would dissuade families from work and if the money would be spent on other things. It doesn't appear, though, his resistance has softened in the last months. Joe Manchin's spokesperson said in a statement that Manchin has always supported the existing child tax credit that is still in place despite the crisis. The spokesperson of Manchin also said he has made it very clear that any change to our social safety nets should move through regular order. Research published last month from the Center on Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia University indicated that 3.4 million children lived in poverty in February compared to 2021. It amounts to a 38% increase from the level it stood at the end of the year.
Fully that she should continue to teach. People said, "What?" Well, she teaches 14 credits a semester, community college, full time, and she does her job. And, I'm very, very supportive of teachers for a number of reasons. Some of them are personal, but if I didn't support teachers, I'd be sleeping alone in one of these bedrooms up here. Before I began the formal comments, one of the things that Jill reminded me of when she spoke, and I'll bet all of you can give examples as well. I got lucky. I won the lottery in terms of parents. My mother and father were wonderful people. I had one of those moms that everybody wished had been their mom, for real. Everybody hung at my house. But I also was a bit of a runt in terms of my size, and I used to talk like this. I stuttered badly. And when you stutter, everyone thinks you have to be either stupid or totally incompetent. And if you notice, it's the only infirmity a adult can talk about having had that people, you didn't because you're teachers, think they can laugh, think it's funny. you saw the movie The King's Speech, you understand. You understand. We went to see it, Jill and I, and right as the king was standing at the racetrack making the speech, she reached over. I guess I tightened up somehow and brought back all the memories. And I look back on it now, and I wonder, besides, I really got lucky with my parents. My mother would say, "Look at me, Joey. Look at me. You're smarter than anybody. You're this, you're that. So stop. You can do this." My point is this, that I had teachers, I can name the ones through grade school, high school, and even college. I didn't really beat my stuttering, and still occasionally I do, until I took the speech and debate class in college, just forced myself to be able to stand up. When they sent me the copy, the guy who wrote the King's Speech found the original speech and made a copy of it and sent it to me. I mean, from the movie. And he does his speeches exactly like I did, which a nun taught me. If you took a look at my speech, you'll see that there's all these slash marks in the speech. Because, you know, an awful lot of people who are, I can't sing worth a damn, but the people, entertainers and singers, can sing like a nightingale, but can't talk, can't speak. And I look back on my life, I think beyond my family, my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad, the people who made a difference in my life in a fundamental way were teachers. I remember I was talking on the way over, my staff's going, "Why aren't you giving the speech we wrote?" But I remember, I truly...
Finally, everybody, lawmakers in the Senate have finally reached a deal on more crisis relief funding, and Chuck Schumer has announced that the beginning of the Build Back Better bill is now being signed into law. It's now their top priority for the Democrats. As I said, finally Congress is taking action on the fourth stimulus check and trying their very best to help out the people in need. And this is something that everybody wanted to see. And it's going to help so many people across the country. So according to 4 people familiar with an agreement, the Senate negotiators struck a deal on $10 billion in crisis relief aid, setting the chamber on a potential course to clear the bill this week. That's some awesome news. Negotiations have been going on for months now, and the compromise is going to reprogram billions of dollars in unused money from other crisis relief bills to deliver funding for more stimulus relief programs. Now, the legislation does not include global crisis aid sought by Democrats and a handful of Republicans, which could become a sticking point when the package comes before the House of Representatives. Senators have received a preliminary budget score from the Congressional Budget Office. It paves the way for the deal to be publicly announced as soon as today. And Senate Democrat Chris from Delaware and Chuck Schumer presented and pressed negotiators to include $1 billion in global crisis stimulus aid, after lawmakers shaved down the package last week from $15.6 billion to $10 billion, zeroing out what had been $5 billion in the crisis global aid.